Good morning, guys. Turn to page 443. We're talking about the sum and difference of two perfect cubes today. So I'm going to give you an equation, two equations, and you'll need to memorize them. But first of all, let me direct you to page 443, the long division problems that are in the middle of the page. I'm sure by now, when you're doing your homework, you've realized that you get the same problem and the same kind of answer every time you do these. Well, the reason is they wanted you to divide it out many times so that when you do get the formula, maybe it will make a little bit of sense to you. So first of all, this only applies if you have two perfect cubes. So I have to have like f cubed plus s cubed, first and second. Okay? F cubed plus s cubed. If that's the case, if I know that's a perfect cube and I know that's a perfect cube, it will always factor like this. The cube root of f goes here. The cube root of s goes here. Cube root of f cubed is here. Cube root of s cubed is here. Forget about this now. Okay, we're not using that anymore. The formula says that you square the first term. So the first term is f, so it gets squared. If this sign is a plus, this sign will be a minus. Okay? Formula says multiply these two guys. So fs. And then this is always a plus. The formula says you square the second term. So this will be s squared. And that looks really bad. So let me rewrite that. F cubed plus s cubed equals f plus s times f squared minus fs plus s squared. Alright, so that's called the sum of two cubes when it's added. The other possibility would be if we had f cubed minus s cubed. Still the cube root of the first goes here. Cube root of the second goes here. But whatever this sign is, it goes right here. Okay? First parentheses will be the same as your original problem. Okay, now forget about the original problem. It says to square the first term, so that's f squared. If this is a minus, this will be a plus. Just like when this was a plus, this was a minus. Multiply the two terms. This will always be a plus because we're going to square the second term, and anytime you square something, it's always positive. So those are the two formulas. Yes, you need to memorize them. And if you go back and look at those long division problems that you've been doing, you'll see that they do fit into one of these two formulas. All right, so example 108.1 says to factor x cubed y cubed minus p cubed. In order to be able to use those formulas, we've got to first of all determine that this is a perfect cube and this is a perfect cube. In other words, can we find their cube roots? Excuse me. Yes, that's a perfect cube. Yes, that's a perfect cube. So the formula says, for the difference of two cubes, we take the cube root of this. The cube root of x cubed y cubed is xy. This sign goes in the first parentheses. S is the cube root of the second, so that's p. Alright, so we're here, right here. We did this. Now we're going to do this. So we're going to square the first one. The first one squared is x squared y squared. Second sign is plus. Remember, if this is minus, this is a plus. This is minus, this is plus. Now we multiply these two. Try to remember to put them in alphabetical order. The last sign is always positive because remember now we're going to square the second term. So that's plus p squared. And that's it, guys. You just memorize the formula Find the cube roots and then do what it tells you to do in the second parentheses, and you've got the answer. So the next one says 8m cubed y to the 6th plus x cubed. All right, remember I told you the first thing you have to do is determine if those are both perfect cubes. Well, do we know the cube root of 8? Yes, the cube root of 8 is 2, right? And the cube root of m to the 3rd is m. How do we find the cube root of y to the 6th? Okay, we divide the exponent by 3. Because when we raised it to the 3rd power, we multiplied. So if we're taking the cube root, we divide by 3. So that would be y squared. And then plus. Remember, if this is a plus, the first parentheses is always the same. And the cube root of x cubed is x. Okay, now you can really just forget about this. Okay? Because the formula here says square the first term. Well, the first term is 2my squared. So that squared would be 4m squared y to the 4th. If this is a plus, this is a minus. Formula says to multiply these two guys. So 2mxy squared. Formula says that's always a plus. And then square the second term, so this will be x squared. And you're done. Okay, one more on page 444. Now remember, as in any other factoring problem, the first thing you have to do in any factoring problem is look to see if there's a greatest common factor. There aren't any in any of these examples for today. But don't forget that step, because when you're asked to factor something, it means factor it completely, not just factor it part of the way. So always look for the greatest common factor before you do anything else. Okay, so remember we look to see if it's a perfect cube. Yes, 12 is divisible by 3. So yes, those are both perfect cubes. So here we go. A to the 12 divided by 3 is 4. That's a plus, so this is a plus. B to the 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, forget about that. This squared is a to the what? Nobody said 16, did they? Because it's a to the 8th. Remember, a to the 4th squared, you multiply the exponents. Okay, so then this is a plus, this is a minus. Multiply these. This is always a plus. Square this, so b to the 4 squared is b to the 8. We're all done.